Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this narration of the book A Brood of Two, taken off Reddit with the author's approval. If you're new to the series, there is a link down below with the playlist with all the videos. And, as always, I hope that you enjoy. Numerous clicks, beeps, and hisses echoed through the hall. Almost every major news agency in the galactic arm had gotten someone through the door ready to launch interviews and take pictures. It isn't every day that two galactic powers signed a white peace, let alone with the infamously monstrous Chax. But that particular set of accords had already been done an hour earlier. It was currently the official signing of the Solar Kalar Corporation Accords. The room where this particular treaty was being signed was a little too small for the queen-like opal to fit. Samantha had been assigned to act as a representative, to the chagrin of the Confederation Diplomatic Corps, and with her, of course, came her attendant, too. Hushed whispers were effortlessly silenced by the single sweep of Bitey's baleful gaze, even though the knowledge that peace was possible with the Chax had spread like wildfire. Instincts were instincts. The reporters and cameramen all shrunk away a few paces at the passing glance. Most of the hind legs still feared him. Most of them, at least. He took secret satisfaction in being able to instill such feelings so easily. Bitey turned his head to the side slightly to glimpse the national leaders of the humans and the Alcazar shaking hands. Both the president of the Solar Confederation and the chancellor of the Kalar Imperium parted with warm smiles on their faces. Bitey, of course, could tell that they were only skin deep. There were a lot of feelings wafting in the air. So many biological molecules. He hadn't been in an enclosed space with so many hind legs since... Sarkis, Samantha whispered. Yes. He's spaced out there for a moment. Everyone is leaving. Sarkis swiveled his head to see the officials walking off the raised platform. The human off to his right and the Alcazar to his left. With another adjustment of his head, he watched the reporters file out of the double doors at the far end of the hall. I apologize. Lead the way, he replied, following his charge through the doorway and into the adjoining hallway. The Chax warrior could just about fit anywhere in the building, with a bit of trouble regarding doorways. Nothing Bitey hadn't encountered in the tunnels of his colony, thankfully. Squeezing through the tight passageways was almost nostalgic in a strange sort of way. That looks like a tight fit if I've ever seen one, the President Byron mused, stopping a moment to focus her attention on the sight. It's like watching mittens squeeze through a cat flap. He responded to the dark-skinned human's comment with a small huff, with his full form entered the hallway. I'd like to thank you, Sarkis. It's due to your actions that got our girl back home in one piece. The thanks should be with Miss Beway. She's, he faltered as Sam gave him an imploring look. I was merely doing what was expected of me. It was no problem. She responded with a small smile and a nod. This time, it was far more genuine. They continued to walk down the moderately winding hallway. Admittedly, I am a bit spotty on the events that transpired on Yellow-Red. Run into any issues during that time? Byron asked. A few, some confrontations. Most were resolved diplomatically. We found a survivor. She passed due to previously sustained injuries, was Bitey's terse response. I'm sorry to hear that. Oh, come on, Bitey. That was a field report, not a story of daring survival. You even forgot to mention Bubbles, Sam complained. Sarkis' head snapped to glare at Samantha. Sam! That one had to be intentional. She shrugged. I'm sorry, it just slipped out. Sarkis couldn't tell if she was lying this time. Stupid cleansers, stupid human body language, stupid human nicknames. So, Bitey, Miss Byron started nonchalantly, eliciting a strained sigh from the Chax warrior. What is the story with Bubbles? We managed to capture a hostile Yali going by the name of Jask. Bubbles was what Samantha named for it. Samantha continued for him. Yeah, we chatted a little. He left with the pirates and nearly nabbed us before the Chax showed up. Bubbles was a bit of standoffish, but he ended up being all right. All right, Sarkis guffawed. Jask tried to sell you off to the pirates at gunpoint. He didn't mean it. Bubbles just had a troubled past. It's what he thought he needed to do. That still doesn't make it right. I shouldn't have let him go. Everything worked out fine. It was the right call. My judgment was definitely correct, Samantha cut him off. When you have made a decision that has been detrimental in the long run. Bitey motioned to speak, but couldn't find an adequate counter. Not fighting harder to have a better nickname, he eventually grumbled. Oh, that's not how it works, Miriam tittered. You probably only made it stick harder. After another set of doors and a bit more squeezing on Bitey's part, the trio and the additional complement of Solar Marines emerged in the private large hangar of the Kalari Administrative Complex. The cool grey-white metal of the facility was offset by the Imperial Crimson banners, which littered the walls, and were further contrasted by the deep green of the ch.14 transport ship taking up most of the free space. Smaller, less opal-sized shuttles remained landing in tight clumps to the side. Bitey could scent the disdain lingering amongst the engineers. It was probably something about having less space for their ships. Good old xenophobia was also always a good bet. Underneath Opal's transport was the Opal itself, casually talking to Admiral Beckett in his dress blues. Opal's wear was the standard resplendent clothing that had ornate metal devices attached to both her back and mouth parts. A recent human invention since first contact occurred with the ch.'s 4 months prior. With these new translators, dreaded ch.'s chatter headaches were no more. Opal turned to greet the group as she noticed their approach. Ah, Madam President, Queen Amber, I see that you've returned. How was the treaty signing? She asked, focusing attention on Sam. No issues, lots of happy faces, and hopeful words, she replied with a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. As I'd expect. Madam President, it is a pleasure to meet you again, but I must take my leave. I have to return back to the rest of my brood at some point. Opal said as she shifted her attention to the other human of authority before her. Beckett, thank you very much for informing me about the change in the Yili situation. I'll have something ironed out by next month when I come back to you on the Fold Gates proposal. I'll see you then, Opal. Madam President, this way, please. The Admiral guided her with an outstretched hand to the large MacBride human shuttle adjacent to the ch.'s craft. President Bayron nodded and started making her way across the hangar to the ship with the bodyguards in tow. To Sarkis's confusion, Samantha went with them too. Hold on, Samantha. Where are you going? What do you mean? Oh, did I forget to tell you? Sarkis shifted his weight slightly. Forget to tell me what? He asked wearily. Is something the matter? Bayron inquired. Give me a minute. I'll be on the shuttle shortly, Samantha said, attempting to placate her worry. Bayron nodded and gestured for her guards to continue onwards with her. Well, I should have told you sooner, Bitey. She began sheepishly scratching at the back of her head. Bitey's mind began to race. What does that gesture mean? Damn it! He can't read her intentions properly. Did you forget to pack your things, Samantha? Opal chimed in as she trotted up to the pair. No, I, forgot to tell him? Sorry. Samantha, I can't have our representative forgetting to tell her aides about her departure. He has no time to mentally prepare. Did you seriously forget to pack your things too? Pack your departure. Sam, are you? Bitey's eyes lost focus as he started putting the pieces together. I didn't forget to pack, Opal. I transferred our things over to the FSN Clarion Call earlier this morning, she declared. It was then Bitey started gathering his words. He couldn't just let Samantha leave as suddenly as they met. It was his charge. He wouldn't leave her. Sam, can't just stand by and watch you Al? His protest faltered halfway through being spoken. Yeah, our things, Samantha affirmed. You are coming with me, obviously. We're going to go on a small tour around the SC colonies. Oh, good, he replied as a wave of relief washed over him. Then he realized what it meant as Samantha said her goodbyes to Opal for the time being. Wait, I'm going to be around a lot more humans. Hold on. How long will this be? 4 months. Come on, Sarkis, we can't leave them waiting, Sam yelled back at him as she started jogging towards the human shuttle. What? He growled in frustration as he trailed after her. Some forewarning would have been nice. Did you even hear my conversation with Opal? She asked as she reached the side door of the airline at transport size. Also, you'll need to get in the back there with the Marines. There's not enough room for you in the front. Mighty slowed his walking pace to a crawl. The back, he said, as he looked at the loading ramp at the rear where a few soldiers were climbing into. He'd fit easily enough, but it wasn't exactly comfortably sized for a Chax warrior like himself. Oh, for the love of... Samantha let out a contented sigh as she relaxed into the luxury seats of the first-class section of the shuttle. Oh, that's good stuff. You'd be surprised at how difficult it is to get a hold of a good human-compatible chair in Chax territory. What? Opal couldn't get you anything nice? Baron asked. Chax don't really do chairs, and I'm no expert in upholstery, Samantha said, shuffling in her chair a little more as the shuttle began to take off. Speaking of Opal, what were you talking about, Admiral? Some potential solutions to the Chax holding colony situation. Getting the Yili on side by speaking their language and a dash of theoretical technology discussion. Artificial wormholes. Damn, that sounds fun. A lot of the USO races will be slavering to cut the travel times of their trade routes by that much. Definitely. Something like that should make everyone want to get real chummy with us and the Chax. It'll be a good step to clear the bad air around the Chax. But before that, we have to endear our own people to him. How's the face of Chax Commonwealth going to fare in the back? Beckett asked. He's explicitly stated that Sarkis doesn't want to be known as Bitey in any official documents. So I'd refer to him as Sarkis, if not to be rude, she requested, winking heavily at the end. Anyway, I'm sure he's fine. It'll be nice to change of pace to talk to friendly non-soldiers. I bet he's having a blast. Mighty stood in perfect silence. He held himself in a place of grabbing hold of the cargo rigging on the ceiling with his now long-since regenerated arm. They were just staring at him, unnervingly. 20 Marines sitting across the hull either side of him, unsure of how to react. Sarkis could smell the wariness and a hint of amusement in the air. Whatever. He would stay quiet and they won't bother him. At least the silence was better than Samantha's jeering. A small silver lining, especially as they were not aware of his nickname. A few of the soldiers started to smell a little different. Their emotions were shifting wildly. Samantha had never done that unless she was... Right. They were all likely using implants to communicate. Still, with so many subtly shifting emotions so frequently, it was getting difficult to get a read on them. Once again, humans around him were able to hide their thoughts from him. Sarkis clacked his mandibles in frustration. The soldiers jumped at the sound. Well, at least they've stopped talking for a second, he thought. Hey, what's with that snap? The soldier with his right piped up. What? Sarkis said. You know what you just did. Some kind of twitch, or was it something else? I suppose it's some sort of twitch. Ah, the man responded, scratching the stubble at his chin. Anything making you feel twitchy then? Nothing. No, he lied. Just a bit twitchy. Just a bit twitchy, I suppose. They all returned to the awkward moment from a few moments ago. Once again, the soldiers' emotions shifted as they resumed their small... Hey, Twitchy, what are the Chax ladies like? He asked with a grin on his face. I am Sarkis, not Twitchy, but to answer your question, Chax won't have two forms. Drones, much like me, but are far closer to your size. The queens are larger, being twice my size, he replied. The Marine nodded sagely at the response. Hey, Raker, the Chax girls are just like 'em, right up your alley. He jeered out loud. Feck you, Spades, I'm not screwing an Antar. On Riker, another soldier hollered from across the room. If you'd bang a Churka then. You're not one to talk Harkness. Riker spat back with his own grin. It's the pot calling the battle black. What are you even talking about? Sarkis interrupted. Shut it, lads, an older Marine at the back end of the shuttle commanded, instantly hushing the others. Sarkis let out a sigh of relief. Thank the Empress, that's over. He silently thanked the higher-ranked soldier. You're confusing, Twitchy, the older soldier said with a grin. Twitchy groaned inwardly, with most of the men around him started chuckling. I hate humans. End of chapter. Just a quick shout out to the T5 peeps. Bob the Dragon, Cat Crab Lobster, Data Magnet, Dark Machine, Bezic, Try Again 95, Pudic Yol, Astrea the Dreamer, Casper Arnholtz, Cam Maxwell, Ithilia, Meridian 117, and Jordan Bucksmorm. Thank you very much. And that, my friends, concludes this video. I hope that you enjoyed. There are links down below, both to support this channel and for the author of this fiction. Anyways, I hope you all have a fantastic one, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.